Hello, everyone. I'm joined by Lethal from Citrus Nation, and we're here to talk all about the main event for North America. Welcome, Lethal. I thought you could maybe start by telling us a little bit about how you ended up on this team after, I guess, a disappointing stage one with Left, Right, Good Night. How do you sort of get in touch? Did they approach you? You go to them?
I'm friends with like Tap and Slippery on the roster, so they just asked me to play, and I was like kind of leading them on for a bit because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then I said, why not just play with friends, and that's how I got into contact. I just knew Tap and Slippery.
What's it been like working with the team, and like, have you played with many of them before or anything like that?
No, I played against them when we played, I think, Flash Shops or something with Left Right Good Night. We faced them against in the final when they had Zomba and then I think Z-Man.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's the only time I had interactions with them. And of course, UA, Uprising Academy with Tap, ages
A
ago.
long time ago, yeah. It's like a long time reunion.
Literally, yeah.
And then, what's it look like for you guys in terms of practice schedule? Because you're still in the collegiate program, right? Is it the same for a lot of your teammates as well?
Yeah, I mean, this team has been really good working with me. Like, I have a lot of collegiate scheduling conflicts, so I think Neutral got Amadou, like a third DPS, just in case I couldn't make it, and he's been playing with them and filling in for me. He's been doing a good job at it too. So it's kind of nice that this team, it's easy to work with each other. So like scheduling conflicts like this is not too hard to work around, and people are like understanding here. So it's been very nice.
Okay, nice. And what's the team sort of? Have you sort of fitted in terms of like the call-in structure? Is there like one person who's in charge of it all, or do you share it, or who's the brains behind it?
Oh, like the calling in comms.
Yeah.
I think we all have our input. I mean, Zeb, Zeb and me mostly talk because I'm like kind of the uncle status of that team because I've been like playing like a long time and had a lot of experience. So I give my input when I can, and it flows well to Zeb when he like takes it like a sponge and then comes how he does, and then kites Kiri out 6 times in official.
It can
Perfect.
help, yeah. And then I want to get like maybe a bit of an inside track on like the different people in the team. So if I give you some categories, you can maybe tell me who fits the category best.
All right.
So who's the funniest in the team?
Um, excluded B, of course, right?
Of course,
No,
yeah, of
I'm
course.
kidding. I'd say probably like Tap,
And
just
is
like
it?
the other European buddy.
I feel like as well sometimes there's like two types of funny. There's like people who are maybe like making jokes or like quick comments, and then there's some people who are maybe like unintentionally funny. Where's Tap on the like the scale?
Tap's like unexpectedly funny. I guess on the second scale, he just says something funny or like makes a sound effect. It's hard to explain. It feels weird explaining it, but in the moment, it's just we just get caught off guard and we just laugh. Like actually, our scrim, like our first scrim back, we were still kind of like happy about the win, I guess. So we were not taking it super serious. And I think he did some kind of like I think he we Ajax. I think I lose to Ajax, and then Tap just said like strike one, and then we all started like laughing.
He's
Even
on
Zeb
watch
got caught
then.
laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny when Zeb laughs too.
And then who'd you say who's the most intelligent?
Uh, I'd say like Slippery or Tap. I mean, they're all pretty intelligent to be fair. It's just like more general that goes across roles would be probably like Tap and Slippery.
And then who's the biggest grinder? Who's always on?
I think it's literally everyone but me right now. I've
Why
seen
not you?
Jacob just queue every role from morning to night, and then I see Neutral Tap queue until the late AMs, and I'm just sat here with schoolwork, grinding that. I guess I'm a grinder in that
Yeah.
school.
You might win in the long run then.
Yeah, I hope so.
And then who would you say is like the most skillful? Like the person sometimes you're in scrim match or whatever, you just maybe think the fight's lost and you're like they do something crazy and you're like, how do we win that one?
Oh, I mean, I guess it is like role dependent. So it's mostly like Zeb or Jacob even, because Zeb will
Yeah.
just hit a random spear or random like turn fight ult, and then Jacob, he would have moments where he just finds a way to boop someone or someone is on me and he just one shots them with me, you know.
Yeah.
Actually, on Eichenwald, for some reason, it's Jacob's map. Every time we get it to like the last point of second in Scrim official, he seems to boop at least two people off. I have no clue how, but he just does it every time.
I feel like that's kind of rare on Icon World as well, really.
Yeah, I haven't seen Admiral do that yet, but I've seen Jacob do that many, many times. I gotta have a talk with Admiral.
And then who's the biggest moaner on the team? Who's always complaining?
uh, probably, probably neutral or Zeb. I'm leaning more towards Zeb, but I feel like I've said his name so many
Yeah,
times.
you got to give it to someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Zeb would. He wouldn't moan. He wouldn't make any sounds. He would go full mute,
Yeah.
non-verbal, and nah. But that's only when the scrim is kind of like in the late end, and people are
Yeah.
just like kind of chilling and fun. And I think it would be like neutral, but more like moaning to himself. You know, like oh, my Kiri ult was like this, or
Yeah, I see
like
what
you
you
know, like
mean.
self-reflecting kind of moan. So it's not like inherently bad where it tilts everyone else. It's more like, why am I doing this
Yeah.
type of moan? So.
And then if we look at the group stage, because obviously on the face of it, you guys got about as tough a group as you could get, right? So how did you feel when you saw that group? What were your expectations?
Uh, like the group of like where we had
Like
Maryville and
Timeless, yeah.
yeah. We had a lot of conflicting ideas. 'Cause the way the system worked, we wanted to put our subs in for our first day to not play against Maryville because it seems kind of pointless if we beat them. We would have to face them again where they would probably like vote review us or something, and we had that kind of dilemma. But we decided to just play anyways and just learn from it because it's not like the the skill level since Owl has disappeared has been kind of declining heavy. So you won't get teams like Toronto where it's just like, oh, we are like super screwed on Rip, you know. So when we see Timeless and Maryville, we were like, I mean, yeah, they're favored, but we can still kind of just win. It's not like the end of the world. They're not having like a huge advantage over us. So we're just like, okay, we can just play, take it slow, just focus on our scrims because we can really win it.
And do you feel the meta sort of lends itself? It feels like we've seen so many more upsets this sort of last weekend or so, and it's been like more and more of this Orisa mirror as well.
Sorry, what do you mean? Like if
Like,
the
do you
meta
think,
shifted towards us?
or like does the meta either favor you or just favor upsets in general? It feels like there's a lot of favorites who lost this weekend.
Um, I'd say like the meta for sure favored us because we have a lot of characters we're comfortable on, but I think upsets happen when there's like a complete mirror, right?
Yeah,
It's hard to get upsets when more than one comp is being played because then the better team would be more comfortable playing, clear counter comps and still winning. But here it's like everyone's come from the same thing, so it's easy to make mistakes, and it's like if you have like a clear sort of like role advantage in the mirror, it's very like obvious.
yeah.
So I guess the upsets is like on paper they should be good, but if it's mirror, they might not even be like good in actuality.
Well, yeah, because I think maybe the most impressive thing about the timeless victory was not just that it was 3-0, but every map felt pretty comfortable. Did it feel the same play in it? Like you just had a clear advantage here? It didn't feel like you had too much trouble at all.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Uh, yeah, we didn't feel like it was troubling to be honest. Like we kind of gave him more expectations than actually happened. It felt really it felt really rough the first map we played because it was like, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing? Then it suddenly became like easier and easier as the official went on and on.
What do you think it was that you guys were doing so much better than them then in the mirror nat? Or maybe what they were doing worse, that was making it so easy for you?
Probably like mental game and just playing your own thing. Because I mentioned a lot to them in the game, just like we have no reason to change how we play. We have no reason to have any expectations either. So there's no reason for us to get nervous, or there's no reason for us to adapt, because we're just playing a mirror and we play the mirror fine in scrim, so there's nothing to be worried about.
Yeah, I want to talk to you as well because it feels like one player who seems to be impressing everyone right now is Zeb. I feel like obviously he played well in the matches as well, but I feel like I've had multiple people, because I've talked to a few teams now, who either talk about either playing versus Zeb or scrimming versus Zeb, and they just say the guy's a monster on Orisa. He's just so good.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the most impressive risk I've seen. I don't know. I don't know what he does exactly. I think he understands the character's limits a lot, especially when those like turn fights happen. He understands how it actually can be a turn fight, you know, which is the most
Yeah.
impressive part. Like he knows the actual character's limits, which people, they just watch a Korean VOD and they say, okay, they do this, I do that type of deal. But this guy knows how the character works, you know. So
Well, it's like, yeah, I think every team at this point understands we're kind of like push and pull and trying to do it, but there's like a real skill in actually doing it well and catching the other team when they're trying to do it and stuff.
yeah, definitely. I mean, push and pull seems like such a broad concept that people just rely too much on that, and then they don't actually think about how the character works in a push and pull kind of system.
Yeah. And then the other part of the meta that's maybe been like a little bit more varied is we see some teams doing like a lot of Sojin Kiri still. We see some teams doing BAP Cass still. It felt like you guys played pretty much almost Kiri, if I'm not mistaken, but you were swapping between Sojin and Cass quite a bit. What's your take on like it? Do you feel one of them's like a bit stronger than the other, or is it map dependent, or just comfort?
Uh, it's a lot of comfort. I mean, because I can pretty much play like any character they want me on, and they don't want me on many characters. Just want me on like either Kiri Echo or whatever. So it's a lot of comfort in it, and the Kiri swaps. It's more like there's so many variations of the comp to play that we just choose what works best for us. You know, it's kind of
Yeah.
like the Houston way. Like everyone's playing on our Brig, and they play on our Kiri. You know, just because it's comfortable for them.
Yeah.
So
Whereas,
we don't need to be complicated. You know, just whatever we like more, we play.
yeah, well, it's clearly working for you as well, so can't complain with the results.
Yep.
So then, if we look towards the main event as well, obviously you maybe got the opening fixture that nobody wanted, playing against Toronto. How do you have any sort of confidence in that? A lot of people feel like Toronto are maybe untouchable in North America right now. How do you feel going into that first one?
I mean, yeah, they're like the only real owl team in the West. So they do feel untouchable because their game understanding is just 10x anyone else's. And I mean, it's not too bad that we get them first, because if we go losers bracket, we only really need to win one game, and we never play the same team twice, right? If we try to make it all the way.
Yeah, unless you get like really deep in the bracket, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's like how I think NA contenders like last year during the Kiri Lucio.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like that was the best case, or like the best example of like why being in losers bracket isn't just bad. Like, oh, you only have one more chance, but so do the other teams,
Yeah.
and that can give us an advantage because teams can only prep for us once, and if they don't prep well enough, or we roll out better than they do, they don't have a second chance. Like like with Timeless, they only had one chance to beat us.
Oh yeah.
They missed that chance. They can't do anything about it.
How do you feel then if you do end up in that lower bracket? How you match up against some of the other teams? Like it feels like there's a lot of like quite even teams in like once you go past Toronto, like Students of the Game, Luminosity, M80, FMCL. How do you feel you stack up against those teams?
I mean, of course, I have to be confident. Even against Toronto, I gotta be somewhat confident. Each team has their own kind of unique thing about them. Some teams would lean towards more like double flex, or some teams would lean towards more monkey, and some teams even have players where they swap, players. They don't have a set 5. They have 6, 7, even 8 or something. So yeah, it looks a lot even on paper, but in practice, it's never really like that. It's always like something behind the scenes that not many people kind of understand.
Is there a particular team you want to play, or you like really like to beat, or excited to face?
No, my answer would be boring. Like, there's no real team that I'm looking forward to. I mean, I guess Maryville, so I play against Vision, but
Yeah.
that's because I knew him. He's like my friend. But no, each team we should treat the same. Even if one team like we think is weaker than the other, we should just treat them the same with respect, and then make sure that we play our game and we don't care what happens.
Yeah, it was like you were saying earlier, especially I think everyone probably anticipates a lot of Orisa mirror all through the weekend, so it's like anything can kind of happen.
Yeah.
Then, obviously, in an ideal world, you'd win the whole thing, but there's also like sort of tiers to success. How sort of deep in the bracket would you be looking to get to maybe look back and be like, oh, actually, we're pretty happy with that, and that was a good showing?
We are already pretty happy right now.
Yeah.
We qualified against a really good group. Now we've kind of set. I guess everyone internally has set their own goals after qualifying. So now we're just basing our success on scrim results and our expectations, and I guess like our own tier lists using those scrim results, and we should have the expectation of at least showing who we are. Like we cannot be slept on. So
Yeah.
we still hold to our own.
Yeah, I think especially after the timeless result, I think probably a lot of teams are now taking you like maybe a bit more seriously than they did before.
Yeah.
Are there any teams you're worried about playing, or who do you think maybe outside Toronto, because maybe that's the obvious answer, but any of the other teams you think look particularly strong right now, or you'd be more worried about playing than others?
Probably MAT, because they're the first team who plays like a different variation of the Orisa comp. They change only one character, but it's still like weird. Like they have experienced players who are able to adapt, and they also have a coach who's been in the scene for a while, so they have like a lot of experience. And I think in this game, experience is better than anything. Like, you can be like mechanically the best, but if you have experience and you've understand the situation you've been in before, that's gonna for sure prevail. And these guys have a lot of experience, so that's the second team I'll be worried about.
Yeah, I think especially in this weekend for a lot of the teams, because it's so close for like those final qualification spots, there's going to be a lot of high pressure games for these teams as well. So that experience will probably be a big help.
Yeah, for sure. Especially like the teams you've said before, like FMCL, us, Pip. I'm kind of blanking right now. Luminosity.
Yeah.
Those teams, if they face each other, are kind of like high pressure games, because as I said, like it can go both ways. So those games, like one mistake, you can probably never come back from that.
Yeah, and then last question, maybe it's an easy one in North America. If can't say your own team, is the favorite to win the tournament this time around? Is it just Toronto?
You know what? I'm not gonna be on the bandwagon. I think Luminosity or MAD.
Oh yeah, you think that's an upset?
I think maybe Toronto been slacking. They do have experience, but a few of their players queue off roll. They're getting too complacent. If more hungry MAD, more hungry Luminosity can catch them.
All right. Yeah. The first person to counter Toronto.
Yeah.
All right, Lethal. I'll go on.
Money. I'm gonna get all my money from that. Off the record, though.
Off the record, of course. Yeah. As a joke. We'll check your bank account afterwards.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Lethal.
All right. See you.